Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. And Eddie, right now, the country's only about ankle deep in that frenzy we know as March Madness, but Oklahoma State was smack dab in the middle of it up there in Kansas City last weekend.
Well, we went into the Big 12, which is the first time they've ever been the Big 12 tournament, because in the past it's always been the Big 8. It's always in Kansas City. I think our fans were treated to some outstanding basketball. Of course, we jumped off by beating Baylor in a first-round game, and then we had the opportunity to upset the #1 team in the country, the University of Kansas. And I was very proud of our young men. They played exceptional basketball for 35 minutes, and the game was tied at 57. And all of a sudden, Keontae Roberts, our best player, gets his 5th foul, and then we were downhill from that point on. But great effort on our part, and of course, we played them tougher than anyone. They went on to beat Missouri in the championship game, beat Iowa State in the semifinals. But Kansas is for real, best team in the country.
And not to be lost was the fact that we played well against Baylor as well. It jumped out, and you'll see here in a second when we hit the highlight package, 14-2, and really a good start for the Cowboys. One of the best games we played all year, probably.
I thought our team in the last 3 weeks has really come together with all the adversity we've had. We haven't won all the games, but we certainly have played much better basketball. And it was very evident in the first-round game with the Bears that our players were prepared. I think the assistant coaches had done a great job in preparation for the game. We'd split during the regular season. We jumped on them, and they had a hard time catching us, and we unveiled a new hero in Alonzo Mays, the great all-conference player in football, tight end, has 10 points, and really was, I think, an emotional lift for our team, the coaches, and the fans.
Well, it was a barn burner when the Cowboys tangled with #1 Kansas, as Eddie alluded to. We have all the tournament action when the Eddie Sutton Show returns in a moment. Well, they're pretty busy back there, as you could tell. Off to Kansas City we go now, and Eddie, we let Baylor know, as I said, right off the bat, that the Cowboys meant business in this tournament, jumping out quickly, 14-2.
You know, one of the important things when I talk to young players is that you play in a ball game, you always want to get out in front and make the other team come to you, and too often this year that hasn't been true, but it was here. We jumped out early, great high-low pass from Brett Robish down to Keontae Roberts. Keontae played sensational basketball in this tournament. I thought in the game with Kansas, one of the best that he's had since he came here. Another nice pass, back cut by Keontae, and he lays it up. That's Adrian Peterson hitting a tray.
Did you get the feeling sitting over on the bench, or we did on our side of the court, that maybe in this game we were just a step quicker, maybe a little more alert than Baylor was in the early going?
Well, I thought we were very alert, and then there's a good example of it, a good defensive play by Dorsey. He misses the layup, but Keontae Roberts follows up with a dunk. That's Hunter, a young man that wore us out down in Waco, and he had a good game here, but not enough to beat us.
Well, in their defense, they made a couple of charges on us in the game, and we'll see Mays hold them off once, Mason another, and just extended the lead.
There's one player that won't want to play us anymore, I think, in the 3 games.
Brant?
Yeah, he didn't do very well, and he's a very good basketball player, but Keontae had the distinction of really shutting him out for 3 games.
I think his total point accumulation in those 3 games was less than 20 points. I think 17 is the number that comes to mind, and Keontae had his number defensively.
One thing they did, they shot the threes pretty well, and that's one thing that's allowed them to win a lot of ball games this year.
Well, Oklahoma State determined to come out 2 ways, really, to get a good start in the tournament, but also make up for that trip we had to Waco.
There's a guy that has really made a lot of progress. Brett Robish, a nice follow shot there on a miss. Good defensive play here. It's Joe Atkins. He and Desmond Mason both continue to get better. There's a coast-to-coast layup by Joe.
Let's talk about Dorsey a little bit, just for a second. You know, a lot of players, they really kick it up when they realize that, hey, this could be the last game that I play in college. Dorsey's effect has been on the defensive end as well.
Well, that was Peterson making that interception, but Marlon Dorsey has really played well the last month, and he is one of our 3 seniors. He's dearly going to be missed, but a lot of times a player like Marlon doesn't get all of the praise that should come to him, but he's a blue-collar type worker and gets it done both ways, at the offensive end and the defensive end.
There's a little tip right there by Roberts up right on the rim.
They waved that off at first, and then the official, one of the other officials came in and said, no, it should have counted. There's Marlon. Nice rebound, nice reverse layup.
Well, he played so hard. We talk about Keone, but Dorsey, as well as a lot of others, played very well and hard in these two games up here.
We got Alonzo Mays in there right now. When they made a run at us and Roby's in foul trouble, well, we inserted Alonzo, and he's having the time of his life. I told Coach Simmons, our football coach, that he'll be in a lot better condition when they start spring football practice on the 22nd of this month.
Look at Alonzo. Pete went up to give him the old chest bump and bounced right off him, didn't he?
He was a very good high school player in Oklahoma City for Douglas. Got the great hands. If you get the ball anywhere near him, he's going to suck it in.
Yeah, Ramirez just bounced off of him like a ping pong ball.
He went to the press conference, and I thought he's got a great sense of humor. And then one reporter said, "It's 267 your football weight or your basketball weight?" And he said, "No, that's my permanent weight."
Hey, he's been around that media before, though, in football, so he certainly is not at a loss for words. And here's another shot. 10 points, 4 boards in 8 minutes up there.
You can see, though, he's still not in good basketball condition. He's huffing and puffing there a little bit.
Was he looking to come out right there? Good shot by Mason. Look at the excitement for the freshman.
Like that type of emotion, that type of enthusiasm. That's the way basketball is meant to be played.
Good pass inside.
Good high-low pass. Brett Roby with a nice turnaround shot.
Final shot for Alonzo.
He is so strong in the upper body. He probably has a great career in the NFL. I hope he leads us to a lot of victories next fall in football season.
Nice unselfish move there by Keone to make sure he got into double digits. And you see the Cowboys have had a good record since you've been here in tournament play in Kansas City. And Alonzo, what a great story. Again, you alluded to the fact that he was the hit amongst the media when you took him into the press room. But that's good for Alonzo because he hadn't been out that many days, and he's meant a lot to this club.
He's meant a great deal to the basketball team. Even if he didn't play any in the games, he's meant a lot to us in practice because he's allowed us to have good practice sessions. There for a while, you know, we were suiting up student managers and assistant coaches, and at least he's given us another body. But had we had him for a longer period of time, Tom, I really believe he'd be getting a lot more minutes right now, and we're getting ready to play in the NIT. I think you'll see him play a lot of minutes.
Next, it's top-ranked Kansas, and you and your staff did a great job of A, game planning the Jayhawks, but B, in a short period of time, convincing these kids that they had a chance to win.
Well, I would imagine not too many of our fans felt like we had a chance, but we did convince them that we could beat Kansas if we did the things that we had practiced on in preparation for them, and they certainly carried out the game plan. And I have to give the assistant coaches a lot of credit, not only for getting the ball club ready emotionally and mentally, but for the great game plan that we had. We got a lot of inside shots like that one right there, and we battled the Jayhawks for 35 minutes. I mean, it was a war, and I tell you, there were a lot of stunned Kansas fans up in the stands. It was very quiet, and that normally is not true when the Jayhawks play in Kemper Arena.
As the game wore on, our kids certainly admitted that their confidence level continued to grow.
Yeah, this will happen when an underdog is playing someone that's a lot better. If you played a series with Kansas, you're not going to beat them very often. But as the game wears on and you're still in it, then the underdog does believe that they got a chance to win. And we told them all we got to do is get to the last 5 minutes, and there's a good play by Marlon Dorsey. We were talking about the way he's been playing. But we just couldn't quite get to the 5-minute mark. I think it was 5 minutes and 20 seconds, so we got a 2-on-1 fast break, and they call it charge foul on Keontae, his 5th, and from then on, well, it was all Kansas.
Yeah, you were counting that scenario to include Keone to play the last 5 minutes as well, not just get there.
On the play he fouls out on, it's a 4-point swing because we get a layup off of it. They take the basket away, and they go down and shoot 2 free throws, and now we're playing catch-up with them, and Keone's over there next to me on the wood.
There's a good player right there in Jacques Vaughn.
Second-team All-American, and deserves to be there. He's a great point guard, great leader. I think that's what he brings to the ball club. He's had 4 unbelievable years for the Jayhawks. Boy, they're good. I tell you, they're the best basketball team that we've seen in this league in the 7 years I've been at Oklahoma State.
In short, for our fans, you might just give them a kind of a recap of what the game plan was. Basically, you spread the court and created enough individual matchups to your liking, in particular when Keone had the ball.
Well, we try to isolate players. We try to make cuts to the basket when they have their overplay defensively. I think one thing that probably was a surprise was Keani Roberts covering their first-team All-American, Ray France.
Because Keani probably didn't get as much credit outside the community here, outside the team, for his defensive effort, because he turned in some great efforts against some good people this year.
Well, he's a third-team All-Conference player, and his conference is very strong, but I really felt like he probably deserved to have a higher mark than that. But usually the all-conference performers go to teams that finish high in the conference race. There's Chad Alexander. He came in and hit a couple of big trays for us.
Well, he had another one that he was open on as well when the game was hanging in the balance. It didn't go down. And what about Brett? What were you saying?
Brett
oh, no! Nice shot, Brett.
No, Brett's been shooting some trays in practice, and that was a big one. That was his first and only one of the year. Here we go, right here.
No, this is.
No, I don't mean that's what he fouled up. That's just a great one-on-one move, and at that time the defense, Vaughn backs off.
Taking it at a pretty good man, huh? Pretty good defender.
That's a great shot. That's a difficult shot.
Well, he was awesome in that game, no question about it.
What do you have, 23 points?
Still a ball game, and time winding down.
Keani is a slasher. He is, and he's strong. He's just a good all-around basketball player. There's Brett Robish hitting again. And that was another thing we tried to do, is to bring Robish out on the floor and make Pollard cover. Pollard's a great defender inside, but if you get him out 15, 18 feet, he's not nearly as effective.
This will be the play right here.
You can't see it right there, but Keontae tried to swing to his left and avoid a collision. And I think after reviewing the film about a dozen times, it probably should have been a no call, but if they were going to whistle the play, it was probably more a charge than it was a block. But that's a judgment call, and that's it's more of a block than it was a charge. And the officials, that's the toughest call, I think, in basketball, when the two bodies are going like that, and all of a sudden, who got there first?
Well, it was a bang-bang play, no question about that. It was indeed a great effort against the Jayhawks. Now, I know you remember this, so I'm going to ask, you remember that old 60s hit, mid-60s hit by Shirley Ellis called The Name Game? Now, I'm not going to make you sing it. We're not going to sing it, but we're going to play our own version of The Name Game when the Eddie Sutton Show returns after these messages. Well, welcome back, and due to the production and distribution schedules, we had to obviously tape this show prior to our first NIT game against Tulane. But Eddie, I think it's obvious as you look at the brackets from the NIT this year that this is as good a field as they've had maybe in the history of the tournament. Look at these names.
I would agree with that. I think that in talking to Jack Powers, who heads up the NIT, that I told him there are a lot of teams in the NIT that would beat a lot of ball clubs in the NCAA. So it is a very, very strong field, and the first time I've ever taken a team to the NIT. You know, we've been to the NCAA many times, but only the second time that a ball club of mine has ever been invited, last year being the first. And I think they must have been offended because of the bracket they put us in. They put us in against Tulane, a team that I really believe should have been in the NCAA tournament. And, of course, in our bracket also is Miami, Florida, and the University of Michigan.
I know you and I remember this, and maybe the casual basketball fan does not, but the NIT at one time used to be the tournament. We're talking in the 40s and maybe early 50s.
People, you know, our age, and I say our age, you're a little bit younger than I am, but I can remember the NIT being the granddaddy. I mean, it was the tournament to go to. When Oklahoma State won the 2 national titles in the late 40s, still, the NIT was the big one. And yet you played in both of them some years back then. But in the early 50s, that's when the NCAA really took off. And, of course, with television. And today I think the NCAA is the greatest sporting event we have in the United States. For 3 weeks, they call it March Madness. If you like hoops, you'll see a lot of them.
Well, the notebook, and certainly a surprise or two. Hey, and maybe even a recruiting update. That's all coming up on the Eddie Sutton Show. Well, welcome back to the show. Let's open up this week's notebook. Eddie, the first item we call the long haul. Basketball season is a long, long year. A lot of ups and downs, but you have to be proud of the way the youngsters stepped it up when things didn't look so good.
Basketball is a long season, and there are peaks and valleys, and for a while I thought it was going to be all valleys because of all the players that we lost through injury. But I'm very proud of this basketball team, Tom, because they didn't fold their tents. They didn't go south. They hung in there, and the last part of the season, we played very good basketball.
On the move, do you want to see the Big 12 tournament moved around like some of your colleagues?
Well, I don't think either you or myself will have a vote, but I think Kansas City's done a marvelous job with the tournament, and I think we're committed to the year 2000. I really believe in time there is a chance that it may maybe move further south, and I hope that Oklahoma City gets a new arena. Maybe we can get it here in our state.
You know, there seemed to be when we were up there just a little bit of an air of maybe not feeling as if the 4 teams were embraced from the Southwest Conference by the media and the fans. That's what we call us against them, or us versus them on our notebook here.
I think it's true, but we all are in the same conference. We're all family, and you're going to have some problems. But I hope that in time this will there'll be a healing process there, and when we play each other, we'll root against the other team. But we're still in the Big 12 Conference, a conference that I believe has a chance to be the very best in the United States.
Quick word on recruiting now.
Well, recruiting, I think, is going about as well as can be expected, but we haven't got any more commitments. I did see the young man, Mike Johnson, who we signed in the fall, play when I was in Kansas City. I was very impressed with him. I thought he did well. But we are going to sign some more players this spring, and we need them.
I think we got something in the back of the... What is this? What is this? Who let these guys in here? What is this?
Happy birthday to you.
Now this is a first.
This is a first.
Yeah, this is
Gather around here, fellas.
Too old.
You didn't know this, did you?
No,
We were kind of buying some time here until these guys came through the door.
What a pleasant surprise to see all these guys.
And they were hoping that practice would be kicked back about 2 hours or so.
No. Great looking cake.
Who's the spokesman? Keani, obviously this is something we wanted to surprise him with, right? You're the team spokesman. Say something here.
Well, Coach, you know, it's from all the team members, staff, and everything. I want to wish you a happy birthday and many more.
You know what would make my birthday?
What's that?
Beat the green wave.
Okay.
All right. That'd be a great birthday present.
And maybe take it all the way to New York where you can
Oh, yeah.
celebrate
Then we
a
really
little
have
bit
a good time up there. Have you guys ever been to New York? 3 people. 3 people.
more. We're going to let you do the honors as we get ready to leave here. Because I know these guys are
No,
standing
I
there.
can't cut it.
They don't want it. Mary Lee, come on in here. Mary Lee can cut it right now. You got, hey, get these fellas over here too. We got all kinds of people. Not only your players, you got your coaching staff and the office staff. They want to come on up in here, Mary Lee. We got to say goodbye to the folks. We appreciate you being with us this week. For Eddie Sutton, I'm Tom Dirato. Goodbye, everybody.